Today we are here to talk about a car that is only relevant by one person, and other than that doesn't ever really get any attention, and I never see them at car meets, and that's the car that Tyga has. Wait, never mind, I meant what's the name? Ludacris. But I mostly know him as the guy from Fast and Furious with an afro, or cornrows. But today we're going to be talking about the second gen Acura Legend. And if somehow you figured out about this car, or you've always been a weirdo and wanted a car that nobody else wants, well, you came to the right place, because in this video, we're going to go over everything you need to know about the second gen Acura Legend. First, we're going to go over the years, then we're going to go over the trims, the common problem these cars have, rare parts that will add value to the car, and last but not least, my favorite part, the 5 rarest colors you can get on Acura Legend. So the Acura Legend ran from 1991 to 1995 and a facelift in 1993. From 1991 to 1992, the Legend came with a 3.2 liter C32A with an option of either a 5-speed manual transmission or an automatic, which made 200 horsepower and 210 pound-feet of torque. Not bad. But if you don't know why you don't see too many of these around, it's because Lexus and Infiniti both had a V8 and rear-wheel drive in their flagship car. For some reason, Honda did not want to give up front-wheel drive and they stuck to it. Plus they had a V6 in it. So although it had 200 horsepower, both Lexus and Infiniti had the Legend beat by torque and by horsepower, and maybe somewhat a little bit on styling. Then in 1993, this is where things got spicy. For the coupe models, they updated that C32A engine to the C32A1 because adding a 1 to the end of anything makes it better. And now it made 230 horsepower and 206 pound-feet of torque. Also came with a 6-speed instead of a 5-speed if you opted for the manual. And if you got the top of the line sporty GS trim, not only did you get the Type 2 engine, but you got updated brakes, suspension, a body colored grille, and 16-inch 5-spoke alloy wheels. And then in 94, you were able to get the C32A1 in the sedans if you opted for the GS trim. Now that that's out of the way, let's get into the common problems that this unique car has. First one, we're going to start off with an absolute doozy, and that's blown head gaskets. Now you got to take this with a grain of salt, because I've been looking at a ton of reviews on the internet, and I've seen a couple people say they got a lemon because their head gasket went out at 200,000 miles. I gotta say, from these reviews, Honda owners kind of sound spoiled, because in a Ford or a Chevy, they would be thanking the Lord that their car went over 100,000 miles, let alone 200k miles. But it seems once it goes bad the first time, replacing it does not really fix the problem. You might get another 50k out of it, but then it will just happen again. And your best bet is just to get a new engine, preferably from Japan, because they got those low mileage ones. Make sure to verify it though, because a lot of people lie. And on top of that, something that kind of relates to it is another thing is water pump failure, which could cause overheating, which could cause a head gasket failure. So just watch out for the water pump. Make sure it does not overheat, because if it does, 100% you'll have a blown head gasket. They're not resilient when it comes to overheating. And the common symptoms for a bad water pump is a howling sound from the water pump area, intermittent heat from the core, overheating when driving under 30 or idling, and a bunch of coolant dumping on the ground. Now let me calm you down now. Next ones aren't too bad, and they're mostly pretty small problems. So the next one is going to be the vehicle speed sensor. Now if the car you're looking at has a speedometer that's going completely crazy, showing the wrong readings or just 0 miles per hour, and a bunch of lights are on the dash, you have a bad VSS, but good thing is it's not too important and it's not too hard to replace. Now, unless the guy that you're buying it from is like a Legend expert, you can get a great deal on this car just by saying, yo, there's an electrical problem with the dash and there's a bunch of lights, the speedometer is not working and I don't know how to fix it, you don't know how to fix it, it might be costly. So because of this, I'm gonna have to take $500 off the price we agreed on. Now in the back of your mind, you already know how to fix it, it's not too bad to fix, but because he doesn't know that, you get a great deal. Part only costs $150 to $300 depending on where you buy it from, so you have a little bit of extra money to put into maintenance that you want to do or your first mod. The next one is going to be the clock spring that's in between the steering wheel and the dash. Now when this goes bad, your horn, your cruise control, or your volume buttons won't be working, but again, it's not too hard to fix, and the biggest problem about it is that the new one costs $270. Now you got two options: replace it and you have that nice OEM look, or you could go for a nice aftermarket steering wheel, a nice hub, and you don't have to worry about the clock spring ever going bad again, and you got a nice new steering wheel. The last common thing that I've seen with these cars is the ignition switch going bad. So if your car does not turn on, don't worry, your engine's not blown. I mean, unless it just turned out during the night, but most likely it's just going to be the ignition switch. Now let's get into the more rare parts that will make the Legend you're looking at more valuable and rare. The first thing you're going to be wanting to look for when you're looking through Facebook Marketplace is a coupe made from 1993 to 1995 with the GS trim, or the 1994 to 1995 with the GS trim sedan. These are going to be the rarest ones to find just because they have that Type 2 engine, they upgraded suspension, upgraded brakes, and so on and so forth. And something that is a huge plus and will add a ton of value is if you get that 6-speed manual. But the most valuable and rarest legend that you can get is the 93 to 95 Type 2 with a 6-speed manual coupe. Because not only is it a collector's car right now, but in the future, that is going to be a car that Acura would buy back from you just to put in a museum. Now let's get into the 5 rarest colors you can get on this car. The colors might be the reason why this car just didn't take off as well as other cars did. All of them kind of suck. If I went to a dealership at 95 and saw these colors, I'd be like, dang, I'm gonna go check my other options out. And that's probably why these colors are rare. All of these colors though are only made for 1 year. First off, you got Canterbury green, and I have to say this is the most dull color I just have really ever seen. It's so dull that it just makes me almost fall asleep. It's just in between gray and green, and I just don't know why this color exists. This one's a little bit better, and it's called Golden Glow. Now I do have to say this screams 90s. All Asian luxury cars in the 90s were gold, so it matches the time period really well. It looks alright, but at the end of the day, again, it's just so boring. I want to see some yellow. I want to see some purple. Like, come on, give me some flair here. Number 3 on this list gets a little bit more exciting, and it's probably my favorite color, and this really tells you how boring these colors are, because it's just a basic red. It's called Persian red, but for some reason, this is probably the one that I'd get just because, I mean, at least it looks better than all the other ones. And it just makes the car a little bit more sporty. If you thought Canterbury green was boring, then I'm gonna break your bubble a little bit because I got a color that's even more boring. The most lamest shade of gray, charcoal granite. I mean, this is nice on a countertop, but not really nice on a car, especially a luxury car you're spending a lot of money on. I mean, the only people that are buying this color are over the age of 95 because they can't even see the damn thing to begin with. Number 1 on this list of the rarest colors that actually look pretty decent is Cayman White. Now, out of all the colors on this list, this is probably the color I would get if I was going for luxury status. It just makes this car look more luxurious, and even though it is a basic white color, I think it does this car a lot of good. I feel like all the colors they had are just so basic. They didn't have any, pearl or any sparkle or just anything that made this car stand out on the road from being just a regular Honda Accord. And maybe that's why this car didn't do so well. Leave in the comments if you agree with me or not. But if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to like and subscribe down below and join the Discord if you're new. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.